today?
I'm doing so well. How are you doing, Sharonda?
Good. You always giving me a good hair look. Okay. I see you. And giving me the color on top of it.
Little Papa some, you feel me?
Okay, just a little some color, okay? Just brighten up the day a little bit.
I love this shirt as well. Like, it's good. It's good. It's giving.
This is my go-to. Just throw it over some sweatpants and you fancy now. Okay?
Yes.
Look, but we gotta talk about Miss Marian because I don't know why they be trying to take my girl through it. I am sick of it.
I feel you. I feel you.
I mean, one of the things that I do love about her, though, is that she really has empathy for others. And that she, even when we see Joe at his darkest times, that it almost, do you feel like there's something deep down inside of her that still feels like Joe can be a good person?
I think yes. Or to a certain extent, or if it's not that she thinks that Joe can be a good person, she does think that he can be healed or that he can, that I think that she sees his potential, and sees the sort of, I think the turmoil that he's in of his own, creation of his own mind. And I think that I think that through, a lot of this season that it's her trying to work to bring out the soul that's in there. Because I do think that she believes there is a soul in there.
But you know what I love about Marian? Marian is a good mom. And I love that we have this representation of strong and powerful women who are single mothers, but who have been dealt a bad hand. And we constantly see her persevere. So can you speak a little bit more about actually having that positive influence of this character to showcase the strength of women who have children?
That was something that even when I took it on in season 3, that's something that was very important to me. That especially being how that Marianne's not just, just any mother, not just a strong mother. She's a mother that is truly driven by her child, and only wants the best for her child. So I wanted to make sure that I gave credence to moms in that way when I was doing season 3, and did a lot of research, particularly a lot of research into mothers who may have lost their children through circumstance, and how that affected them, and truly trying to grasp by just talking to all moms what it really means. Like, moms always tell you, like, you'll never know until you have a kid. I wanted to get as close to that feeling as possible to pay the homage in that way. And it's something that I do think is really important, especially for like as many Black mothers that I've seen, just growing up, that have, raised more than one kid as a single like mom that didn't have everything. It was an honor for me to play this character and to give credit where credit I think is very much due.
Well, you did that. You had me ready to call my mom. Like, are you gonna fight for me like Marianne fighting for her daughter? Are you gonna do that for me?
I was very inspired by my mommy because my mommy is a tiger mom for sure. Like, yeah, like she will go to bat. Like, and she says to us all the time, she's like, nobody messes with my kids. You mess with my kids, you mess with me.
Okay.
Like, thank you, mommy. So yes.
But I mean, spoiler talk though, before my time is up, because I was like, now Marianne, how did you feel like reading the script knowing that Marianne, in order to keep her daughter safe, that she would basically just have to let Joe be free and kind of live under this guise of being dead still?
That's a good question. I think that on one hand, it definitely like it doesn't sit well with her. And I mean, we see even in sort of the last season of this season with Marianne that it's not something I think that she can let go that easily. And I would be very interested to know if she does try to seek justice further, in the way of wanting Joe to get what's coming to him. I don't think that it sits right with her at all that he could, gets to walk away. And I don't know if she will sit in that guise forever.
I'm going to manifest it and claim it that for the next season, Marianne going to get her justice as she deserves.
Thank you.
Okay, it's done. It's manifested. It's going to happen. But I'm going to call Ted after this, okay? Stop playing.
Thank you. Do it.
I just want to thank you so much. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. And I'm just thanking you for taking time to always speak with me. And I'm just sending love and light your way. I hope you have a great day.
Oh, you too, Shauna. It's always so fun speaking to you. So thank you.
I
Thank
love
you
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
I'm gonna see you next time for next season, okay?
See you next time. I got you, girl.
Okay. Bye. How are you doing today?
Good, Sharonda. I hope this is your background for everything, not just for this interview.
Look, I can do that. I can make that commitment to you right now that that's what it's going to be for the rest of the interviews. I can do that.
That would be great. I'd really appreciate that.
Look, I still getting over this like plot twist, but how was it actually just reading the script, knowing what your character was going to have to convey? Like, what was your reaction when you realized like all of what your character was going to encompass for this season?
I mean, as an actor, I was blown away because this is exactly the sort of gold in writing that you look for as an artist, I suppose. And I've been striving to get a role like this. So I feel really, really honoured that I was given the opportunity by Sarah Gamble in the first place to take on this part. And I knew what was going to happen. I didn't know quite how it was going to be written, but I had an idea how it was all going to unfold. And I think one of the things I loved the most about playing the role, especially in that second half of the season, was I genuinely felt incredibly free and liberated to sort of explore who Rhys was and how he was manifested in Joe's mind and how he operated. And I think because he is this almost devil on the shoulder, this conscience, I think that allowed me so much space to just have fun with the work. There was a lot of prep that had to take place, but I felt I was in a position where I could just really throw myself into most scenes. And I had the support of working with someone like Penn, who was a great scene partner, a great actor to work alongside. And I felt that we built up a very quick rapport, which allowed us just to go into scenes, go into, the day of work and have fun and enjoy what we were doing.
And I like that you bring up the prep because you're kind of playing two different characters, right? Like you have to be the Rhys that presents itself to the audience at first, but you also have to encompass a part of Joe that we've known over these past couple of seasons. So can you speak to how you actually prepared to play like these two different versions of what the audience gets to see between part one and part two?
Yes, I mean, it's a good question. I feel that although I was playing two different parts, for the most part of the season, you only really see one of them. And it's, there's obviously red herrings that are alluding it to not being the case. So actually, there's only a very small amount of scenes that I have to worry about being the real Rhys. And again, I just stripped it back to the basics of trying to understand what was going on, who this guy is. He's a writer, he's an author, he's campaigning to be a mayor, he wants to do better for the world, he believes in people having a second chance. And I'd use those in the real, for the real Rhys, and when he's sort of speaking, publicly. But then you're still using some of those characteristics and putting it into the bonkers Rhys as well. But because that's manifested from Joe's head, you're able to play with themes that have been so prevalent to Joe in previous seasons as well, and how he battles with this obsession trait and this obsession with trying to do the right thing versus actually just he can't help himself but commit quite heinous acts. And again, coming back to what I was saying earlier, is I feel that through playing that other Rhys, I just felt free, and it was just about having as much relish as possible and playing with the words. I was given such a rich tapestry, a depth of dialogue to use. I was able to really throw myself into the words. So I have to say thank you to the writers for that.
But I mean, Rhys is the most dangerous of all of what we even seen from Joe. I mean, what do you think that adds to it? Because it's something about how willingly accepting that Rhys is to like who he is as a killer that makes him even scarier than having someone like Joe.
I mean, I think there's a fearlessness. I think also because when you look at the real Rhys and what he's been through, like socially, and how the background he's come from, what he's had to fight with, and how he's had to tread the line between all these different social circles, I think that transcends into the manifested Rhys. And again, it just allows this guy to just be, he's slightly unhinged. And because he's been manifested from Joe's head, he is allowed, he can go off on these crazy tangents. He also believes he is there to make Joe be the best he possibly can be. And I feel that Rhys, the reason why I suppose he's so dangerous is that he shows Joe that in order for Rhys to be the person he can be, he needs to commit these certain crimes. And he's just, I suppose he comes across as nonchalant about it or matter of fact because it's easy for him. It's like, well, we have to do, if you want to be the best, you have to do this. You'll be so much happier, Joe, if we commit these crimes. And I guess that's the politician in him, and that's the writer in him being able to manipulate and convince. And he uses, many different, well, he tries to apply many different skills and characteristics to get what he wants from Joe.
Look, I absolutely love Rhys. I don't know what that says about me as a person because I'm not supposed to, but I thought you were brilliant. So I just want to thank you so much for taking time to speak with me. And I'm just sending love and light your way. I hope you have a great day.
Oh, I appreciate that. You too, Sharonda. Have a lovely day. Thank you for your time.
Much. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Hi, how are both of you doing today?
Hello, hiya. I like your background.
Look, I just wanted to feel like I was in class with the both of you, okay? I want to learn too. But one of the first questions I have for the both of you is I like how this season really delves into something that we've been dealing with as a society, is really showcasing empathy or caring about what happens to those around you. It's something that we seem to be lacking, but I find it very interesting for both of your characters because it almost feels like there's an ulterior motive to it. Maybe if Joe, it might be a bad ulterior motive, but for Nadia, it feels as though sometimes she's trying to run away for something and wants to help people in order to kind of ignore what she has to deal with for herself. So can you speak more about why you feel like both of your characters have that sense of having to have that empathic concern for others around them?
I'm just going to take broadly like what you're talking about with empathy. I think you're right in that Joe is smart enough to realize that empathy is a really important human quality to have, and he knows that he's looking for someone who has empathy. But the very troubling thing about him is that he sort of emulates it. He's sort of because at the end of the day, he's a half-conscious master manipulator, who ultimately abuses and preys on people. So, he can't have real empathy. That would be impossible for him to actually be empathetic or empathic. But he does mimic it, which I think actually, even though I don't think of Joe as a clinical serial killer portrait, that is something that I think, a psychopath or sociopath does, is mimic very well human emotions that they know are important and make people comfortable. So there's something. And then, Nadia, Amy's character, is the opposite. I mean, she's like I don't want to say she's all feeling because she's very smart, but I mean, she certainly is not lying.
I think that's what they have in common as well, is that they are both so intelligent. Like Joe would not have got away with all of this that he has in the past if he wasn't super, super intelligent. And they are both very, very smart, but obviously they use it in completely different ways. And I think that that's why they end up in the beginning having quite a nice relationship as well, because they've got a lot to talk about. And, Joe couldn't, not to speak for you, Penn, but Joe couldn't speak as much and be as connected to someone who wasn't, on the same, or maybe just below, but on the same intelligence level, and I think that's why it ends up like it does. And that's why Nadia does so well with a lot, in terms of figuring out Joe. There's not many people that can figure him out or have done in the past.
Is Nadia that girl? She be paying attention. I'm here for it.
She's that girl, exactly.
But I mean, I have a spoiler question for you, Penn, because, going to the finale, which, y'all, that twist blew my mind. I wish you could have seen my face because the jaw was on the floor. But when Joe looks into the glass at the end and we see Montrose, can you kind of define that? Do you feel like when Joe tries to commit suicide, that he was killing himself and letting Montrose take over? What do you think?
So, speaking to the suicide bit, because it's such a sensitive thing and its representation in media is important, I don't see it as a typical, the benefit of this show and all the outlandish devices it uses, and then Rhys Montrose being a figment of his imagination. Technically what he's doing is he's killing Rhys. And Joe is still operating by his bizarre logic that is consistent at the end of the day. He's still killing somebody to try and save other people, namely the object of his desire, Kate. So he's not committing suicide, as much as it's, to me, yeah, it just is much more metaphorical because he's really trying to kill Rhys. Rhys is representative in some ways of his inner child. Also his id, if that is even a thing, even though Freud has been largely debunked. So let's go ahead and use one of his phrases. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, this is not a clinical, if we're talking about mental illness and the aspects of the human mind, I mean, you know, it's what is Rhys really? I don't know. He's a fun guy. He's a really good time, frankly, I think. And by the end, I think it's just this idea broadly that Joe, through it all, is embracing this part of himself rather than running from it. Which would be brave if it wasn't terrible. So, and then now he's got power. By the end, he has sort of unlimited resources, which he's never had before, and he's embracing that. Whereas with Love and her family's wealth, he was resisting it very much. So it just seems like he's embracing everything, and it sets up the next season, if should there be one. I don't know. But I don't know where that puts us with Rhys. I don't know if that means that he's like, if Rhys is taken over, because Rhys is never Rhys. Rhys is just Joe's animal nature. But he's played by Rhys. Go figure.
Well, I'm going to manifest another season because it's going to happen. So it's done. We already manifested that. But I just want to thank the both of you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with me. And I'm just sending love and light both your ways. I hope you have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How are both of you doing today?
So good, thank you. How are you?
Love your background.
I'm doing good. Look, I was a part of the relationship. I was just like, y'all, love yourself, okay? Just love yourself first. But, you know, one of the things about both of your characters is it almost seems as if they're trying to live to how they feel society wants them to be instead of just what makes them happy. And I wanted to know for the both of you, like, given the industry that you're both in, like, how do you make sure that you're kind of just living for yourself? How do you make sure you're not letting what you think your fans or the audience is, what they want you to be? How do you balance that?
Gosh, that's a good question. I think it'd be really overwhelming, like other people's opinions and just like noise in general. But I think then you kind of just have to get back to like your own normality and like your kind of support groups, like whether that's your friends or your family, and they know who you are the best. I think you can't live your life trying to please other people, otherwise you're just not living your life properly. So yeah, I always feel like as soon as I feel a bit icky about something, that's when I know I need to stop and go back to basics.
Turn your phone off. Don't read stuff about yourself. It'll make you go crazy. Just live your best life and know that Instagram is always glorifying people's highlights of their lives, and we can't always be these shiny things. We can't always be shiny as Tilly.
I'm not this shiny normally.
Look, because I don't know how people live off of Google alerts, like having their name under a Google alert. Like how?
No, I don't have notifications on my phone anyway, so I don't need to have that.
I do, and I need to turn them off. I don't know why I have them on, but I'll admit it. I do, and every once in a while I will check. You know, I'll search on Twitter your name, and it's just always the worst thing you could possibly do. You don't need to know, good or bad. You just don't need to know.
But that's the thing, you're like waiting to find the worst thing on there, and that's the thing you remember.
Yep.
But see, admitting is the first step.
Awareness. The step of, yes.
But I mean, one of the things, like with the relationship between your characters, you know, the whole series, you know, I'm kind of, for this season, I'm kind of going back and forth, like, did they once love each other? Like deep down inside, is there care like that they genuinely have for one another? Like, what are your thoughts about that? Because it kind of goes back and forth with the audience viewing. Like, is it real? Is it not real? Was it once real?
I mean, in my opinion, it's real. It just brings up a conversation about repressed feelings and the inability to communicate with your partner what you really want or what you really need, in fear of being alone or not having that person.
Yeah, I think they are genuinely in love. I can only speak like from Phoebe's perspective, but I know that like Adam is the most important person in the world to her, and she is completely in love with him, but kind of the love, she's willing to like be completely blindsided by her emotions, and she thinks that love can kind of overcome any kind of red flag that he may bring up. And that's not the healthiest way to be in a relationship.
But I mean, getting into spoiler territory, because I didn't, your character's so loving, so giving, wants to help everybody, even if it's to her own detriment. Why do you feel that he couldn't just be like, hey, like, babe, this was going on. I need your help. Like, why do you feel like we couldn't just, because I feel like she would have done it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even I think that line is cut now in the episode, but there was a line that I was like, I'm not a prude. Like, I love you. I want to do everything for you. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe Lukas, you could speak on it, but I think that Phoebe is quite a non-judgmental person. So maybe it just speaks to more like maybe they're just lack of real communication.
Yeah, I think maybe Adam has a standard for himself, or like a label that he's trying to abide by, or a family that he's trying to make happy with the ideal situation of who he's supposed to be, and trying to keep up with this appearance that he has. And I think that's a theme throughout this season, is like everyone's just trying to keep up with this appearance, this label that they have for themselves. And I'm sure if he was honest, Phoebe's cool. Phoebe would be
okay. Look, I was just like, get it together. We could have been happy. We could have had a happy ending. But Adam playing.
I agree.
But I just want to thank the both of you for taking time out of your day to speak with me. And I'm just sending nothing but love and light both your ways. And I hope you have a great day.
Oh, you are such a lovely person. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.